one way to look at the work that we are doing in self-development. One perspective, maybe we can look at this, is about liberation. It's a topic that comes also from the yoga tradition and also in Buddhism. And there is a question, is like liberation, is liberation from what? Yes, and or another way is like it's freedom. Freedom from what? It seems that we are living now in the most free, liberated era of all times. You know, people used to live under kings and queens and being slaves. Yeah, there is still a lot of challenges, but we are the most, I think, resource-wise liberated generation. So what is actually liberation means? And Buddhism talks about it in a nice way. They talk freedom from suffering or liberation from suffering. So where is suffering? Suffering is inside, is in the mind, is a concept. It's not something physical. Yeah? So why we are not liberated? Why aren't we free? And one of the questions that sometimes I like to work with, and you can ask yourself now when I talk about it and you hear me, is the question is, are you ready to be free? So it's like, are you really ready to be free? It's a deep question. It seems like, what does it mean, freedom? Okay, not to suffer. Okay, are you ready not to suffer? And you know, usually the answer is pretty simple. Yeah, I'm ready. So if you're ready, why aren't we free already? And I believe it's because we are not ready. I think there is a certain level of maybe self-deceit or not being fully honest with myself. When I'm being asked, are you ready to be free? And I say yes. It's actually maybe the answer is no. And I don't see fully why I'm not ready to be free. And when you start to explore the concept of freedom, I like to call it, I like to give this example, which I call it the economic of spiritual freedom. And one analogy that I like to give is something that you can look like, let's say, freedom cost $100,000, let's say, and living in suffering costs $1,000 every day. So every day, to continue living in suffering, you need to go and pay $1,000. You wake up in the morning, you pay $1,000. And if you want to buy your freedom, you need to invest. And you need to put in one time $100,000. So you wake up in the morning and God is coming to you and asking you these questions. Okay, do you want to buy your freedom? And you check your bank account and you have $110,000. So you have the money. You can buy your freedom. But it's almost everything that you have. So you're not so sure and you say, you know what, I'll think about it. And for now, you just pay $1,000. So the first day passes and you pay $1,000 and you're still in suffering and you didn't buy your freedom. But it's okay, it's only $1,000 and the next day comes and the same questions come again and should I pay 100,000? No, I will give only 1,000. So every day you keep paying 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 and you don't buy your freedom because you're not sure if it's the right investment. And as time passes, 150, 200 days passing, you already pay 200 times $1,000, you already spent $200,000, freedom cost only 100,000. But still, after 200 days, you still have to pay 100,000. And every day you're waking up with the same dilemma. And it feels like it's cheaper to continue paying daily suffering taxes rather than to buy the freedom. And this is a very simple analogy to understand, and it goes with number and it makes sense. But if we look at something that, let's say, I call it like emotional toll, like how much emotional burden are you willing to pay every day? So it's like, okay, I'm going to keep carrying the suffering that I know, and yeah, I wake up, I complain, and I don't like my life, but and I don't do what I really like, and also a little bit depressed. It's okay, I know it. I'll pay another 1,000 emotions points today, and I'm not gonna buy my freedom. And in order to really buy the freedom, I need to be willing to go through some process and to really invest in that. And the benefit in really investing in it that I will stop paying the daily toll. And I think when we're asking the questions, are you ready to be free? Something inside of us really want to say yes. But there is another part that actually kind of even subconscious part that knows that the price is expensive and is not willing to pay the price. And so we just continue paying the daily price. So, are you ready to be free? Is it something you're willing to go through? I think that in some ways it feels like a very dangerous mission. And in a way I can understand why it feels like this. I also have this sometimes when I'm dealing with challenges, like I keep prolonging and procrastinating in the same process instead of like doing the thing that I need to do and deal with this from the core. You can look at smoking, yeah? Smoking every day has a price. Stopping smoking is very expensive in emotional price. And so we keep on smoking, we just stay in the habit. I had many of those in my life. And every time I need to face one of those, I do feel same, like avoidance and challenges and all of those things. I think big part of what I'm trying to dedicate this work to is to support people of making the leap, the next step into actually doing what is really necessary and going through the real work and being supported in doing so they can pay the expensive so-called price and be supported when they do this in order to make the break out of this cycle of paying only the interest of the suffering every day and really paying the core price in order to take it out and to be free from this vicious cycle of suffering. I think that's an invitation. It's an invitation to go deep, to go inside, and to trust the container that we are trying to create in the workshops and in the activities to go as deep as you can in order to be free from the daily suffering. I'm not promising that we're going to finish the suffering. That's not what I promise. But at least we can take some of the roots out and breathe a little bit easier and see life from a different perspective. When we talk about are you ready to be free, it seems like there is a prison that you need to be free. And we are living in the prison of our own mind and thoughts and emotions. And it's an invisible prison. That's why it's so difficult to understand it, because you don't see the bars. In normal prison, at least you see the bars, you see the jail, you see the structure, you see the concrete, you see the metal steels, you see the people who work in the prison, and you can understand you are in a prison. And it's very easy to understand what's going on. But in the mental prison, we don't see it. It's invisible. And that's why it's so difficult to break out of this. It's like in the illusion side of it, it looks you're living in an open world. You can go anywhere you want. Yeah, you can go to the beach and order a coconut and sit in the sun all day and sit in the sun with the coconut and being in the mental suffering. So you take the prison from the office to the beach, to home, to the car, to when you sit with your friend. So the prison is inside of us. And I think that's a very tricky prison because it continuously leading us to this concept that, I'll just wake up early in the morning and then I will solve it. Or I just do the next few tasks. I'll just make a little bit more money. I just stop smoking and I do some fasting and I'm free. And no, it doesn't work like this. It's like all these actions that we do in the real world are actually not changing the inner prison. And understanding the prison and studying how the prison work is a key factor to break out of this prison. And I think part of the journey that we came to do on this planet is to learn how to get out of this prison. I think that when we were born, when we were kids, we were free. And somehow we have prisoned ourselves, not like as we wanted to do this, but we kind of put ourselves inside this prison out of fears and society conditions and things in the family and all these things. And as we grew up like without even remembering that we were free once before. And I think it's kind of like an invitation to go back to this point before we were in the prison. And I hope that if we study the way the prison works and how does it look, we might not end up being in the prison again later on. So it's like getting out of prison and kind of stop going back there.